Hey everyone, welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of October 3rd through the 9th of 2022. Alright, so this week we have essentially the first quarter moon coming into the week. First quarter moons are usually good for taking action and implementing things from the previous new moon. So a week ago coming into this week we had the new lunar cycle start. And so now coming into this week, as was the case last weekend, good to challenge ourselves, implement things, move things forward, and integrate this energy of the cycle. Now, as we go through the week, coming out of the early part, we'll start to get into the more supportive wind in our sails part. That'll be entering into the gibbous phase, which is going to be culminating into a full moon, which will be on Sunday. And so noticing that the momentum is building, maybe there is some support for some of this energy moving forward, and then maybe a harvest over the weekend with that full moon. Now, all this energy has been in Virgo. I have a lot of planets here, and Mercury's just recently gone direct here as well. So it is good to implement things specifically in the realm of improvement, refinement, personal development, our work and service, these kinds of things, while also balancing them out with the receptive qualities of life of Pisces, of being present and things like this. Now, the aspects this week, Thursday, Mercury, the planet of our minds and communication, will be trining Pluto here for the last time. This happened during the retrograde as well, about a week and a half ago. And so depth with communication, with mental energy could be very strong around Thursday, very supportive as well. Friday could be a good day for healing. In fact, maybe the whole weekend here, because the sun will be opposite Chiron. Pluto will be going direct, implementing that deeper energy, and the full moon will be conjunct Chiron, the healing comet. And so good to see what does arise, and again, sort of redeeming the deeper qualities of ourself and of life, and having more peace in our life, and all this is a great way of working with this weekend and just the full moon in general. All right, so let's go and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here is the sky for this week. We're going to look at this for Monday, October 30th until Sunday, October 9th. And as you can see, we are using the visible sky on this channel, which is very different from mainstream astrology. And so you will notice a lot of the signs are different. If you are new, definitely check out the link down below for more information. All right, so let's do a bit of a recap coming into this week. Again, challenging ourselves to integrate this energy is a great way of working with the early part. Right, in the first quarter moon, and the challenge here is how to integrate that improvement nature of Virgo, refinement, right, analytical, developmental, while also being free-spirited, right? So how can we essentially create structure in the sense of, these things that give us hopefully more flexibility in our life. Routines are supposed to give us more flexibility. Our habits supposed to give us more flexibility, and this is just a good way of working with anytime we're dealing with a mutable square, because both Virgo and Sag are about flexibility. Virgo is about creating the structures that give us more flexibility, and then Sag is about simply listening to that free spirit and being willing to be spirited in the moment, listen to that spirit for life, listen to that adventurousness, and of course that does create more flexibility as well. So anything that is about integrating these two very different energies early in the week will be great. We'll probably still notice some Sagittarian themes here around Monday. Again, themes around freedom, spiritedness, expanding our horizons here with the moon in Sag, which was the case last Sunday as well. But my point here is that there's a lot in Virgo. There's been a lot of that improvement-oriented nature. A lot of it is starting to move forward now. If there's been anything that's been redone or learned during these past few weeks in this area with Mercury retrograde. But now that Mercury has gone direct just last weekend, he's slowly building momentum, and we'll slowly start to notice more of that momentum building as things in our routines and day-to-day energy probably start to shift forward, relatively speaking there. All right, of course, Mars is in Taurus. Just good to take things slowly and steadily, as I've been saying here with Mars in Taurus, which will be a very long transit into next year, actually. All right, so let's take a look at these days one at a time here. Again, Monday will be that free-spirited Sagittarius, how to integrate that into the improvement natures of Virgo. Once we do get to Tuesday, the moon will shift into Capricorn, and this could be slowly where we start to feel more of the gibbous phase of the cycle throughout the rest of the week until the full moon, which is more of that wind in the sails, and this is where they're both earth signs, right? So Virgo is the earth of improvement, and Capricorn is the earth of discipline, patience, and perseverance. And so likely some themes around that Tuesday and Wednesday, and just a good couple days there for anything that does require patience and perseverance, or productivity and discipline, right, while the moon is there. So once we do get to about this Wednesday time period, we'll start to feel some of these aspects that we do have this week. Mercury starting to trine Pluto again. This will be for the last contact. This was part of before and during the retrograde of Mercury. And the most recent was about a week and a half ago when Mercury trined Pluto with Venus, which would have been Monday of last week. And that's where there was around, Monday, Tuesday. And that's where there is this sort of depth, right? And so Pluto is the ruler of the underworld. And so with these trines, it really helps us see the underworld mentally, practically, and perhaps to even communicate it as well. If there's been anything that could be deep or empowering with communication, is a great way of working with it. But all in all, our minds are very supported to dive deep, to go into the underworld, the deeper world, when Mercury's trining Pluto like this. Okay, so along with this, the sun will be starting to oppose up to Chiron, which is part of the full moon conjunct Chiron on Sunday. So Chiron is the healer comet, very much associated with all things about healing, whether it's physical healing, spiritual, emotional, mental, right? And so this is where we'll start to likely get quite exposed to the energy, and just a good time to be aware of it. The opposition is where we're seeing it. It's visible. It's the sun's light bouncing off of it. It's also visible in the sky because it would be, for most of us there, being able to see that. So the deeper world, right, but also specifically in the context of embracing and accepting, the deeper world is a good way of working with this. It's essentially shadow work. It's essentially accepting the deeper aspects of ourselves and of life that we've normally shunned away or to have a negative judgment about, seeing that it is a part of ourselves and these parts can be redeemed. And by being redeemed, they then manifest more healthfully and constructively. All right, so there is the opposition there, and this is also suggested by Pluto, who's going to be moving direct around the full moon. That's a 6-month retrograde time period. The past 6 months he was retrograde, suggesting more of an internal process with a lot of this deeper stuff, but that's starting to move forward. So some shifts happening here. And then with Pluto, it's all about having a richer life and a life that's more connected to our deeper values. And so that is great, great to move forward. We usually don't feel these outer planets going direct that strongly because they're very slow moving, very collective planets, and retrograde for usually about half the year like this. So quite common, quite normal, but slowly moving forward into next week, perhaps noticing some of that momentum building with bringing in the deeper world into the physical life, into the everyday life, in a way that enriches our life and makes it more deeply meaningful. And I want to say here too that this kind of Thursday, Friday, the moon will be in Aquarius Thursday, Friday, and so this could be good for visionary stuff, innovative stuff, and contributing to something greater than ourselves, okay, while all this energy is going on. But the full moon will be in Pisces, and we'll start to, again, really feel that Saturday, Sunday. Sunday's the full moon. And so the full moon in Pisces is what has been so important already, which is the fact that, again, all that Virgo energy being about improvement is so important to balance out with receptivity. And so we're likely getting aware of this, being aware of it, exposed to it with the full moon. Again, it's the heightened energy, it's the awareness time period. And again, conjunct Chiron, the healer. So anything that can be healed, or rather accepted and redeemed, will likely give us more peace in life. And perhaps doing a status check with not only our healing life, but how is our peaceful life? How is our spiritual life? How is our life in the context of what's important to us on a soul level? So how's our soul life, right? And these kinds of things is fantastic. And of course, I will make a separate video on that. I do want to mention that going into next week, we do get exposed to this first Mars square Neptune, which will really be dragging out because Mars will be going retrograde here at the end of the month. And this last contact won't be until March. And so with this retrograde, but now with this aspect going into next week, it doesn't quite go exact yet, but on Sunday, again, adding to that watery energy. Mars is the planet of fire. Neptune is that spiritual planet like Pisces, like the constellation Pisces. And so practicing this receptivity, if there's lower energy, if there's uncertainty, if it feels like we're lost at sea, it's probably because our drives and motivations are not aligned to our soul. And so this is a good time to perhaps, align to that in some capacity, to be aware of it. Again, it is a work in progress. But how can we combine the ego with the spiritual? The conscious with the unconscious, our physical needs and our spiritual needs combined. When they are, to some extent, things flow and align there. And sometimes it's just a message to, take a step back or approach things a little differently if things aren't flowing, with Mars squared Neptune, or getting rest or sleep or spiritual time or things like that. But again, I'll talk more about that next week. All right, and then just as a recap, Saturn's still squaring Uranus through the rest of this month. So again, it's a good month for implementing things that create both structure and more freedom in our life. And especially in the context of what was being built last year with this, that we can integrate this week and really the whole month. All right, everyone, so that's the week in a nutshell. Most important thing is good to challenge ourselves in this first quarter phase of the cycle to implement things, but then noticing some wind in our sails, some momentum, the middle part of the week, culminating into the harvest of the cycle, which is the full moon, which is about incorporating more receptivity to balance out that very strong improvement, oriented nature of Virgo here. But things should be starting to move forward this week with Mercury now building momentum direct. We have a deep mind here midweek. And again, healing seems to be the name of the game here with the full moon as well. So exposing that deeper world and accepting it, working with it, is fantastic. All right, so everyone have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. And there's a link down below to sign up to MTZ Insiders. It is a free newsletter where you do get these videos released first before YouTube and extra content not normally released on YouTube. Have a great week, everyone, and I'll see you all next time for the next astrology forecast. Take care.